This is Gaming It. We are Gaming in Progress.
What's going on, guys? It's Devin Gaming Progress, and Ogre and Aries are here too. They kind of live here, so I gotta include them in things like this.
Even though I don't want to be.
Yeah. Anyway, so we all watched the Star Wars Battlefront 2 trailer the other day, and I'm sure you guys did as well. If you didn't catch it or hear something about it, you're
Get out of the rock you've been living under?
Yeah. Go watch it. It's great. It's
Yeah.
everything Star Wars fans have been asking for a really long time.
And we'll probably have it playing on mute at the end of this video or something like that, depending on what I do with the editing. Anyway, though, wanted to kind of take the time to discuss some of the things that, as longtime Star Wars Battlefront players and fans and stuff, we would like to see in this new rendition of Star Wars Battlefront 2. As you know, this isn't the first Star Wars Battlefront 2. There was one from way back in
2004, 2005.
2005, I want to say, yeah.
I think it was 2004 because it came out before the Empire. It came out before Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway, and
What is in your mouth?
I don't know. Yeah, what is in your mouth?
Peppermint.
2 to the 1 to the 3. I like good pussy and I like good trees. Smoke so much weed you wouldn't believe. And I get more ass than a toilet seat. 3 to the 1 to the 3. I met a bad bitch last night at the D. Let me tell you how I made her leave with me. Conversation and Hennessy.
Why are you worried about it?
Because it makes you sound like a faggot.
That Star Wars Battlefront game, as you probably know, was made by LucasArts and Pandemic Studios. And Pandemic isn't around anymore, and LucasArts isn't around anymore either. So it's kind of interesting to see the direction that they're going to take with this. So we want to talk a little bit about that, and also some of the things that we want to see in this new Star Wars Battlefront 2 game that are kind of going to be very important to have in the game. So let's talk a little bit about maybe like the first Star Wars Battlefront 2. I don't know, Aries, did you ever play the first one?
I played all of them.
Okay, so you played like basically.
And it came out in 2005, by the way.
2005. Okay, yeah. So you played Star Wars Battlefront 2 was like back in my day, like that back for me. That was like one of the games I played like all the time growing up. It was Star Wars Battlefront 2 at my house and PlayStation 2, and then when I would go to my friend's house, we would play GoldenEye on his 64. Now I don't know when you started playing Battlefront 2.
I played the first Star Wars Battlefront, and then like a year later, I got Battlefront 2 and started playing it.
And you only played those on PC. You didn't ever play them on PS2.
No. I played them on Xbox,
Okay.
like on the original Xbox when it first came out. I got it on PC when I started becoming a PC gamer because it was one of my favorite games growing up.
Yeah, and
I played it on a PS2 with my cousin, like almost the first day it came out. We played it for years after that. Much longer than we probably should have played it, but it was one of the games we always played together.
I mean, some of the earliest videos on the channel are me and Ogre playing Star Wars Battlefront 2 online using Game Ranger, seeing as how the original servers are no longer up. But there's still quite a lot of people who play Star Wars Battlefront 2 on PC online.
And I think my very first video on the channel might have been a Star Wars Battlefront 2 video. It was either Star Wars Battlefront 2 or it was Left 4 Dead 2.
I think it was Left 4 Dead 2 was your first one, but it was one of your earlier ones. Now, to kind of talk a little bit about the differences of the game, the original Star Wars Battlefront 2 followed the story of the 501st. Which was basically Vader's fist. They were the clone troopers who served under Anakin Skywalker throughout the Clone Wars into Revenge of the Sith, when he became Darth Vader, and it went from a republic to an empire and stuff. So we get to see from the trooper's perspective of a high-up trooper. But what's different about this new story is it's going to be focusing on basically like even more special forces in the 501st. Mm-hmm. So, like, the 501st are kind of like the Empire or the Republic's Rangers, and then from the look of these new guys, this new squadron, they're basically like Navy SEALs. So they're even more covert, they're smaller unit size and stuff like that.
Right, because the 501st was still technically like a battalion.
Yeah, it was a massive battalion.
It was just the most
specialized unit that was taking the best of the best
from like all the other areas.
So they were still technically an army, whereas the group we're going to follow now is more like a squad
Yeah.
A few people that go in and get shit done.
Yep. And
with little to no.
Yeah, they have more control over their orders and stuff, and working on their own, more like a smaller special forces unit.
Right, and also keeping with how the 501st work. You know how we saw them go from the Republic to the Empire. We're going to see them go from the Empire
to the First Order.
To the First Order.
Yeah,
yes.
Because the game, the campaign picks up from the Battle of Endor and runs all the way to the.
It looks like it runs to the Last Jedi.
Yeah, it looks like it runs to the beginning of the new movie or something.
Yeah.
So hopefully finally get some input as to what happened between episodes 6 and 7.
Yeah, because there's 30 years between the two episodes, so
right.
There's a whole bunch of stuff going on in between there that we're not going to get, that we haven't seen before, that we're going to see in Battlefront 2. And the coolest thing too is this story is going to be canon because of when the original Battlefront 2 came out. Certain things from that is kind of up in the air if it actually happened canon or not, since Disney bought Star Wars. The Camino Uprising, we don't really know if that actually happened or not.
Pretty much nothing's canon until they say it is.
Which is exactly.
Shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Which the Camino Uprising would tie in perfectly for why the Empire stopped using clones and started recruiting actual humans into the ranks.
Well, I mean, we can argue all day about how annoying it is too, because
yeah,
it was a mess to begin with because George was letting it get out of hand.
Yep. So anyway, those are basically the differences between how the two campaigns are going to flow. One is from the Republic days into the Empire. The other is from the end of the Empire into the First Order. And so it'll be interesting to see those battles and stuff, because we do get to see a little bit of that stuff in the first Star Wars Battlefront reboot EA and DICE did, but there's no story in the first one, and that's something that's a lot of people are actually really happy about this new Battlefront game, is there's actually going to be a concrete story. There's not just going to be all multiplayer stuff, which didn't work well for Star Wars. It can work well for some games. Like Battlefield, for example. Battlefield, the stories are there, and some of the Battlefield games had really great stories, like the Bad Company games were really good. Yeah. I actually enjoyed the Battlefield 4 story as well, but they're not really as crucial.
No, they're good. They're well written right up until 1, where basically it's kind of just an amalgamation of stories, which is good in itself, but it's not really a story as much as it is a loose.
Yeah, they're there to check off a check mark on the developers. Yep, okay, we got a single player story. Yep. Now let's focus on the multiplayer.
Star Wars, you can have great multiplayer, but you also, and it goes to show just in how Battlefront, the first reboot, did, you gotta have a concrete story, a concrete single player mode as well, to really draw in the people who are more interested in playing a story in the Star Wars universe than they are just random battles in the Star Wars universe. So we've got things we want to talk about that we want to see in Star Wars Battlefront 2, and I'm going to let Ogre here go first, seeing as how he had a little bit of difficulty, and then I'll go, and then Ares can go.
Because he's a bitch.
In the trailer, they said play across all eras, and the very last scene, we see a Trade Federation capital ship in the background. So it's a pretty obvious hint that we're going to have Clone Wars. So what I would like to see is more Clone Wars characters as heroes, not just people from the movies, but I'm talking about people from the Clone Wars TV shows. If you're going to have a Lando Calrissian as a playable hero in the first Battlefront, then have Captain Rex as a playable hero in the second Battlefront.
Or Commander Cody.
Have Commander Cody as a playable hero.
Asajj Ventress.
Asajj,
well, she'd be a villain,
but she was canon before, but she hasn't appeared in
right. She doesn't appear in anything, even though
she's appeared in a couple games, but not many. So that'd be kind of cool to have her show up, and of course include the classics Count Dooku,
General Grievous,
Obi-Wan,
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So basically, your first thing you want is just a wider variety of heroes and villains to play across the maps.
Yeah, and maybe I don't know, do something like maybe tie a couple of them into the campaign. I don't know.
It would be interesting, to say the least.
I'd also like to see like a tie into Star Wars Rebels, not necessarily like in the campaign, but like in the multiplayers, like, you know, have maybe Hera as a hero, or Kanan or Ezra as a hero,
or maybe
or just various nods to them. Like, you know, you see a droid going around a battlefield and it's Chopper.
Make a mission or a game mode where the Battle of Lothal happens.
Yeah,
because that would, or not. Well, technically, it really wasn't the Battle of Lothal, but what technically was going on during what was supposed to be the Battle of Lothal. That would be interesting, where the Empire has to come down and attack the Rebel Chopper base.
Ahsoka Tano as a playable hero. She has gone from being like, from when she first started in Clone Wars, from being like one of my most hated fucking characters,
which was a lot of people's,
being one of my most beloved characters with all like the development she got over Clone Wars and further into Star Wars Rebels. Make her a playable character. Make her a hero. I want to see her in like an actual like fucking game, like not just canon in like on a TV show, but I want to see her in a game. Since we're talking about the campaign, we're talking about how most of the Battlefield campaigns have kind of just been throwaway campaigns, aside from Bad Company 1 and Bad Company 2. Give us characters in the campaign that like actually matter. Don't just give us like these generic, nameless, faceless, special forces units that we're just playing the campaign just to play the campaign. Give them backstories. Give them like actual like personality and like character development that we actually care about. Make us see the war from the Empire's perspective. Don't just write them off as like, oh, they're just doing their job, even though they know what they're doing is evil. Do not make them the generic faceless special forces characters that we've seen so many other franchises do lately with Battlefield, Call of Duty.
Like maybe we could get like some flashback scenes, because I'm guessing we play as just like the one character we see take her helmet off. Mm-hmm. It would be interesting to get like some flashback scenes to how she grew up under Imperial rule, what led her to become a part of the Imperial Special Forces, because not everybody under Imperial rule goes on to join the Stormtrooper Corps or the Special Forces,
honestly,
or the Officers
seeing civilian
Academy.
life in Star Wars is always interesting to me, just because they always talk about the war and stuff. Like, it was great in Rogue One where it actually showed flashbacks of her living in
Give us a little bit of like a couple missions where we play as the rebels. Like, don't just purely focus on the Empire, because you can't have a game as set in a franchise as big as Star Wars and just focus on one complete side of it. And the original Battlefront, like in its campaign, although limited, you played as the CIS, you played as the Republic, you played as the Rebels, and you played as the Empire. You all had your own separate campaigns. And in Battlefront Front 2, it was like you played as the Republic and you played as the Empire. Just give us the Rebels and give us the Empire. That's what I would like to see out of the next Battlefront campaign-wise.
Some of my things is really just putting emphasis on the Clone Wars era. I mean, it's pretty much a solid thing at this point that we're gonna be playing in the Clone Wars, given the fact that yes, at the end of that trailer that they put out, we do see a Trade Federation capital ship, or dreadnought, whatever you want to call it. For a while it was just referred to as Grievous's flagship, but whatever. We see that in the background, very obviously in space combat. And then, of course, we see Yoda and we see Darth Maul. But if it's just some sort of limited thing where you can only play as the Republic or the Trade Federation in just like a couple maps, that's not gonna fly. Like, you need to have like a good amount of maps to where you can play as all the different types of factions and stuff. And what would be really cool too, just for the hell of it, maybe have some sort of custom mode for it. Have like Trade Federation versus the Rebels, or the Republic versus the Empire. Those are some of the things that like a lot of people want to see. My second thing here is Galactic Conquest. Now, Galactic Conquest was something that a lot of people wanted in the first Battlefront remake, yourself included, myself included.
90% of the reason why I didn't pick it up is because it didn't include Galactic Conquest. It didn't include like any like tangible single-player mode whatsoever. Yeah.
Galactic Conquest, for those of you who don't know, is basically kind of like make your own campaign is the simplest way to explain it. Is you play as a certain faction in a theater of war, and you choose where you go, what battles you fight in, and what order and stuff like that. And it was cool. I mean, granted, Galactic Conquest was better in games like Empire at War and stuff, but it was still a nice little feature in Star Wars Battlefront 2 that kind of allowed you to have more control over like your own little custom story.
It was also in Battlefront 1 as well.
Yeah, see, I don't ever actually remember playing it in Battlefront 1, but I played so little of Battlefront 1, and then I just ended up actually getting Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
So. Is soldier customization. Soldier customization might seem silly in the Star Wars game, but it's actually kind of really important. Some of the best soldier customization for the Star Wars games wasn't actually the recent one, the recent Battlefront remake. It was in Star Wars Rogue Squadron, and there was one that came after that. Both of those were Vita titles, or handheld titles. One was portable and then ported to Vita, and then one I believe was just on Vita. And you had a lot more customization. And in the new Star Wars Battlefront, all you can really customize is like you have like a couple different like clone rebel and stormtrooper like options, and then you can customize like if they have a helmet on or what kind of face they have, and that's it. But in the older games, you actually could customize like your armor color, like the base color, and like what accents it had and stuff like that, just to kind of help you stand out more on the battlefield. And that's something that I mean is kind of important, whether you're looking for your fellow squad mates, or you're trying to make a name for yourself out there in the battlefield, if you will. Standing out can be both a good or a bad thing. I mean, obviously, maybe you don't want to stand out. Maybe you want to make your armor color look like really blending into like the Death Star with that like dark gray color or something like that. But customization for your characters in both single player and multiplayer should be a thing, I would say. Any comments, guys, on that at all? No? Okay. And then this next thing is also something that comes from the handheld games, and was also something that was teased to us when back when they leaked the footage of Star Wars Battlefront 3, which eventually was obviously canceled, and all we have is that leaked footage. Ground-to-space combat. The ability to transition to ground to space, I very much believe, is something that we can do with the way technology works today. I mean, if we could do it on handhelds, and we can kind of do it in the Battle of Scarif for the new Star Wars Battlefront, I believe full ground to space transitions between dogfighting between capital cruisers and stuff in space, going down into the ground, landing your ship, and then fighting on the battlefield down below should be a thing for like every single map. And it would really connect everything, you know? You start out in a space battle, you warp in, or you hyperdrive, jump in, go into a space battle, and then you actually land on the planet, and it just feels more, what is the word I'm looking for? Like, more genuine.
Yeah.
It feels more genuine that way. So...
Old Republic.
Old Republic.
If they're going to tell us they can play across all eras, and they've already said that they're going to make the Old Republic canon, I think it should be something we should see a little bit more of.
You know,
I mean, I wasn't expecting an answer, but that would be interesting.
I'm a sucker for alternate stuff, and what I mean by that is unexplored. Like, if you can go as far back as canon, that was my favorite part of like superhero games, is like getting alternate skins, just either different time periods of the hero or alternate stuff. I would like to see the Old Republic because it's something we don't see a lot of. And pretty much any sort of medium. We saw it a bit in like the video games they had, but were old and
And I mean, obviously, there's the Old Republic MMO. But...
Right, but I don't know if actually I haven't been able to play that one yet. Probably should start, but
you have a computer now, so and it's free to play.
I want to see more of like a campaign style to give us more story to it, to show how the Jedi versus Sith were, maybe even how it started to be, maybe even before that.
Kind of like back before the rule of two thing became a thing for the Sith.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
I mean, if you could make an entire game battle of nothing but Jedi and Sith, that would be fucking amazing.
It would be.
Ship customization? That'd kind of be interesting.
That would actually, I mean, we talk about like player customization or clone trooper armor customization or whatever, but like another way like would be to have customization for your ship. I mean,
custom weapons, custom paint.
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe faster, like you could change your
Well, no, because that would actually start affecting gameplay. If you're gonna do customization, it needs to be purely cosmetic. That way, it doesn't break the game.
Yeah,
why would it break the game if you can customize your ship?
If you can make a ship faster, that gives you an edge in combat.
Yeah, I mean, like...
so you mean like a leveling system that exists in almost any game whatsoever?
Yeah, I don't know.
So you're back to your communism stuff.
It could be doable,
Dakota.
It could be doable, Dakota. If they took like the vehicle customization system from Battlefield 4 and implemented that in its own way into Battlefront 2, where it's kind of a trade-off of what weapons and stuff you have on there. So like maybe for a TIE fighter you could trade off having that super speed for like shielding or something.
Or just change for, maneuverability. I mean, you can only upgrade one thing at a time. Maybe player level 100 can do almost anything, but they don't always control the battle. I mean, you could still grind to get to that player too. I mean, you can have the fastest speed you want, but if you have maneuverability, speed doesn't mean shit.
Well, I was thinking, I don't know, have you ever played around with the Battlefield 4 multiplayer? Alex?
Battlefield 4?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Well, basically how it works is the vehicle customization for Battlefield 4 multiplayer is like you have like a couple different slots and you can slot different things in. So you've got like a defensive slot where you're like your flare missiles would go to basically prevent you from being hit with a missile, or you could also have like undetectable by radar for a short time and stuff like that. So I was thinking something like that where you have like a couple different slots that you can equip different things to, but obviously it's going to be a trade-off of, do you want super speed or do you want shielding? Do you want more powerful laser blasts but they fire slower?
Right,
stuff
so you
like
can only upgrade so many things at once.
Exactly, yeah. But in the cosmetic thing of like ship customization, like maybe you could have like different accents for your ship. So like you could be part of Gold Squadron or Red Squadron.
Well, if you're gonna do cosmetic things, I think a great game to borrow from would be how they handle it in War Thunder.
Okay, well, has anybody got any like final conclusionary shit before we end this, motherfucker?
Yeah, you fucked up the first one, Dice. Don't fuck this one up.
Pretty much.
I mean, like a lot of people were so happy when we first saw like the little glimmer of hope of the new Star Wars Battlefront when it first came out, and however many years ago, like 3 years ago now. And then a lot of people were disappointed by it. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's one of the most visually appealing games, to be sure, but there just wasn't enough content there at launch, and there still needs to be more content there now, even at the end of the game's like run, if you will. Like, they've released all the DLC and stuff now, and it still doesn't feel like there's enough there to permanently keep you vested in it.
No.
I mean, it's a breathtaking game visually, but visuals aren't everything, guys. You got to remember that. It's quality over quantity. Anyway, so that's basically all we got to say about this. There'll obviously be footage and stuff, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed us talking about Star Wars nonsense.
Because I sure haven't.
Yeah. Shut up. If you did,
Well, you can drink your pain away.
Give a thumbs up, maybe, and we'll give you $5 in
Sam,
Keemstar
shut the hell up.
For every $5 you donate to our like button, Sam will bark at you. I don't know.
Alright, guys. This is Leafy, and if you like this video,
if you continue.
Anyway,
if you like this video and subscribe, I'm going to give you.
And we'll see you guys in the next video.
Free puppy, no joke. Like and subscribe. Fuck Keemstar.